Here's my proposition to everyone listening. I believe that you can use your talent as an athlete, as a sports person, as someone who gets out and does competitions for business. And the reason I feel that is twofold. One is my experience in law school and how I used my abilities in track and field to study. And the second is my experience with working with teams and how teams in both business and on the sports field have been so successful. And the way they've been successful is to use certain skills. Now, a lot of you probably already heard, oh yeah, well, I know that we can use, the skills of teamwork, teamwork, and how teamwork can help you in business and how teamwork is great. And if you get, say, people who are from the military, they get involved in your business, and, they know how to work with a team and leadership. These are skills, that are perfect for business. You also can develop presentation skills. When I was an athlete, I had to give speeches to the Optimist Club, the Rotary Club. I gave speeches everywhere. And I got used to standing up and talking in front of people only because I had a little bit of fame. I watched all of my friends around me, the same thing. Many of them actually became public speakers and would go all over the world talking about these certain things, how to be successful in business. One of my closest friends, John Neighbor, he turned it into such a big business that they would invite him to go on cruises just to talk about his Olympic experience, and he made this into a regular business. And then one of my favorite was Peter Vidmar, who was a famous gymnast, and he would bring his pommel horse. And he would be doing, exercises and doing the pommel horse in front of the audience as he's talking about success and leadership and all these other great things that you hear when you listen to speakers. And to me, that was an awesome way to speak. And it challenged me to be a better speaker. So that too was important. The other thing about it is international travel and cultural awareness of athletes. Because we travel all over the world, because we have to work and deal with all different cultures, it gives you a sense that you're not the only one. You're not the center of the world. It also helps you to identify ways of working with people that a lot of people wouldn't have that opportunity because they don't get the opportunity to travel. I've been to every country in Europe. I've been to every country in North America, all but 2 in South America, I've only been to 2 countries in Africa, but that's gonna grow. And most countries in Oceania and half the countries in Asia, all because of my athletics and being able to go and do speeches like this. Now, so we have all these skills, but I want to talk to you about something a little bit different, something perhaps you've never heard before. And I'm sorry I don't have the beautiful presentations that some of the other speakers have, but I kind of want to reach into your mind. I want to take your focus away from your screen for a moment, and I want to reach into your mind and help you to be kind of a better business person using this talk today. So one of the things that I've learned about being in athletics is that athletes are fearless. And a lot of times I give talks, and the way I describe it is I say, you have to be insane to be an athlete. You have to be crazy to be an athlete. Take, for instance, your typical 1,500 meter swimmer. That athlete has to be in the water 6 hours a day. And that athlete will swim so much that if you put it all together, they can swim from Los Angeles to Tokyo and back, all the time that they have swam. If you put it all together, that to me is insane. When I was jumping, I added all my training, all my jumps together. And I did if you put all my triple jumps together, I would have jumped from San Diego to New York City. How can a body go through that? How can the mind do that? That's how crazy you have to be. But what it showed me, and after I sat down and I thought about it, basically what you have to do is you have to have fearlessness, almost a conscious disregard for your being. And you have to be able to trust others. So that focus alone helped me to build a business. It helped me to get through law school. The fearless, and that fearlessness really helped because it enabled me to focus not on the amass, but every step that I had to go. Every single step was not a barrier for me, no matter what it was, having to stay up late at night, having to do hours of work. It was all part of my regimen. And if I take that, I apply it to law school, it helped me get to law school. And that same year I graduated, I went to the World Championships, didn't win the gold, but I won the silver. And it was all because I was able to go back and forth on both. So that's one. There's another thing. Perseverance is incredible. And for those of you who are entrepreneurs, I need to talk to you a little bit about how you as an athlete, or you as someone getting out and training, and then you will learn that in sport, the best athletes fail miserably several times. It's amazing how often great athletes fail. One of my heroes is a guy named Mike Powell. And he actually trained with me for a long time. And Mike Powell will tell you about the time he came up to me and asked me if he could train with me. And at first I was like, hold on, Junior. Do you know who I am, right? I'm Willie Banks. And he went on to become the world record holder in the long jump. But prior to that, he couldn't even get into a school. His jumps were not great. He had to work himself. So, and then he got injured. And as we went along and as we trained together, I'll never forget in 1988, trying to make the Olympic team, Mike was fouling until his very last jump. And he came running down the runway. It's almost like he was going to stop. And I looked and I was like, oh my God, he's not going to make it. And he just took off and he made the Olympic team. He came in second. He made the Olympic team and went on to win a silver medal in the Olympic Games. But what he had and what I had to experience and what Carl Lewis and some of these other great athletes had to experience was failure. Failure is a great way to become strong. And I think every coach who's out there coaching coaches the same thing. Failure is only a step towards success. And I find a lot of the business people that I work with nowadays, they are afraid of failure. So that fear of failure prevents them from taking that next step and becoming great, because there is no success without failure. That's always got to be your mantra. And if you fall down, you get up and you go. And sometimes you have to change the way you think in order to make it successful. And that's what I call resilience. Resilience is another piece of the puzzle. Now, resilience, again, is there's always going to be a time when what you have planned for yourself or for your business may not come out to be a success, may not be the success that you expect. But the great part about it is you can always change. I remember reading a book Miyamoto Musashi, who is a great samurai in Japan. He created a brand new way of using the sword. And I read this book, and it was so amazing about the trials and tribulations of this samurai. Most samurais don't live very long, but he lived to be about 67 years old. And he actually had to quit becoming he became the best samurai in the country. And he quit and became a poet and a writer. He wrote a book called A Book of Five Rings. Back in the 80s was one of those books that all of the investors and people who wanted to make money through business was reading, because of the way he had put the steps together in order to be successful. This was a samurai who didn't have the education that we have today, but people were reading his books because of his philosophy and how he put it together. That was resilience. He went from one to the next, to the next, to the next, and he faced all kinds of adversity and failure, but became the best in 3 different talents. Now, my favorite part of being an athlete is focus, is concentration. And I told Brian this story once before. When I was a freshman in college, I was going to be in this great competition. It was a rivalry between UCLA and USC. UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles, and the University of Southern California. And this was going to be a big track meet, a dual meet with some of the best athletes in the world. And I was a freshman, so I wasn't expected to do much. But that night I went to sleep, I was going to sleep, and I kind of laid down in the bed and I watched myself do the event over and over. And after about an hour, I kind of came to my senses, and I was sweating everywhere. I had gone through the entire meet. So then I went and I washed up, I came back, I went to sleep. The next morning I got up, I felt great. And when it was my turn, I was competing against the gold medalist in the long jump. And I was not a long jumper, but I won that competition. I beat the gold medalist. The next competition was in the triple jump. I was a triple jumper. I wasn't the greatest there at that time. But when it came down to the last jump, I had to jump far in order to win that competition. Now, there was 15,000 people for a track meet circling the track, and I was expected to win this track meet. I would have to jump a foot further than I'd ever jumped in my life. But the good thing about it is focus. I was able to just put everything out of my mind, let my mind go blank, and run. I took a hop, step, jump. I jumped 2 feet further than I'd ever jumped before. We won the meet. And as I stood back and I thought about it, that was the first time I'd ever done real imagery. It was the first time I did focus. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And later on in life, I had a kid who was sitting next to me, and he was fidgeting and getting crazy and is driving his parents nuts. And I created a little game. And this game, I want you all to try one day. You sit with your hands on your quads, and you have somebody hold a pen up in front of your face like this, and then drop it, and just let the pen drop. And then as the person drops the pen, you grab it. Now, most of you can try this game, and most of you will fail miserably because you're trying to catch the pen. What you need to do, and this is the trick, is not to try to catch the pen. If you can do that, then you start using an athlete's focus, an athlete's concentration. Because once you've learned something, you let your body do it. You don't force your body to do it. You let your body do it. And that's an athlete's focus. You can use that focus, that concentration in business, where you wipe everything and you focus on one small thing. You can get more done like that than anything else I've ever done.